Welcome to this second part of this Notesmaster Support Network tutorial on creating a resource. So obviously you may be watching this as a direct follow-on to the first part, in which case we will return to the editor to continue our resource. But if you have taken a little break and are coming to this almost afresh, then we start in our workspace. Okay, so in our workspace, biology, and we have the sections of the syllabus, the topics, and the specific objectives. And here is our resource objective here. Classify organisms into taxonomy groups. And organisms in the wild is what I've put as my resource title. Click on my resource to open it. As you see, it opens up for me here. Click off it to close. If I wanted to create a new resource under this objective, here you would click to add new content if it's the first resource for an objective. If it's the second resource, click new and then fill in, cancel. So that's the new button here. So let me start by clicking on the resource. It opens up, and this is the student view. This is how students and teachers will see your resource. If I select edit, I'm now able to edit my resource. Okay, edit my resource. I'm back in our editor. So what am I going to do? I'm going to complete this resource. So we started, remember, with our introduction. You put your text here, and then you can use this space to briefly explain more about your topic. And then we added an image. So you could leave introduction in. You would delete this area perhaps and just have your explanation here, or you could have explanation. It depends on how you wish to format your work, but generally you could just start with more of your topic here. And then you have an image, and then you would spend a little time explaining your image here. And then we have a divider, a horizontal line divider here. And in that we would have a new section underneath it where we've added a video. And now we have this area, SlideShare or Prezi. Now there's a separate tutorial on inserting SlideShare or Prezi, but for this purpose, I'm just going to give you a brief introduction to what a SlideShare or Prezi is. SlideShare is a place where you can upload your PowerPoint presentations, and they are converted to PDF and they can be inserted to Notesmaster. You can use SlideShare for free, and you can search SlideShare for SlideShare presentations to insert. So let's take a look at starting with SlideShare. Click to open a new tab up here. And in doing so, I'm going to put my title. So, organisms in the wild. And one of the key things is, if I put SlideShare on the end, I'm telling Google, be the same for Yahoo or Bing, to search the internet, specifically SlideShare, for organisms in the wild. So you see the SlideShare results are numerous. It pulls up results all related to SlideShare. If I delete this and click enter, I'm served up Wikipedia, the Telegraph, National Geographic, a wide range of materials here. So by putting SlideShare or indeed Prezi, I'm telling the search engine to specifically look for items on these websites. So let's take a look at a Prezi. Wild animals in captivity. Let's click on this one, wild animals in captivity. So Prezi is a presentation website, slightly different to SlideShare in that it's free to access. I can use the presentations on Prezi, but if I wanted to upload one, I would have to subscribe. So let's have a look, captivity versus wild. I click, I can move through. It's a little bit more interactive. I have a video that I could see here, and I have text that I could use, and I have a degree of zooming, dragging, and interactivity that I can play around with. So a more dynamic resource. Now, how would we insert this? Well, you see we have this embed button here. Having looked all the way through the material, ensured we are happy with it, I would click Embed, and then I would click to highlight all of the text, right click, copy. I go back to Notesmaster. I put my cursor where I want my presentation to go. Here it's flashing. And I'm going to look for this Insert Edit Video button. Click on it. And I'm looking for Embed. Here I can embed by clicking Embed. Right click, and I'm pasting in that embed code that I took from Prezi. So this code is now been inserted here. Click OK. And my Prezi loads on my page. Okay. Now, if I tab under, I'll do the same process for a slide share so you can have a look and see. Now, of course, instructional design principles, you can have your material centered or ordered how you wish. Perhaps you want it on the right-hand side, or you want it in the center of your page, or perhaps you want it on the left, whether you want to justify it or center it. It's up to you. Instructional design principles would insist you have a balanced page so that there's a degree of symmetry and the eyes flow nicely down the page and the user is not bamboozled with material on the left and on the right and they're not sure which way to go. So if we take the center stage, and I'm going to look for a slide share now. So back here, let's go back to our Google page and let's type organisms in the wild. It pops up, and let me put slide share back like we had before. So if I click on the first one, let's see what a slideshare presentation looks like. So this is an altogether more static engagement. This is a lion, this is a fox, this is an elephant. So whilst serving up correct material, it's a little bit less engaging than Prezi. So that's to say I'm not able to zoom or interact with the material in the same way. But I am able to share it. So if this material is sufficient, and I would suggest that you make sure all areas of the presentation are legible, so you can read the top and the bottom. So for example, this presentation, some of the text is not quite in the frame of the presentation, so perhaps one could look at another one. So ensure that there is a high standard of quality running through your materials that you're creating. Okay, and then we would like to ensure suitability. So this resource perhaps is more suitable for CSEC or CAPE level. If I'm creating something for CCSLC, perhaps I would like something that's a little bit more pictorial, or the font is a little bit bigger, and so forth. So do spend a little time exploring, finding presentations that fit your brief and convey the actual message of your resource. So if we're happy with this, let me click share. So we're going to click share here. And under share, we're seeing that word embed again. So we click on the code as before until it's highlighted blue, right click, copy, and it's the same process. Back to Notesmaster, where we want our presentation to go, click on the blue button, click embed, right click and paste. Okay. So here we have our slide share and Prezi underneath each other, and a little bit of text under the slide share which we could center as well. We could delete it if we choose. So what we have here is a slide share and a Prezi presentation. The critical point is we don't need both. So the Prezi takes a little bit of time to load, as you see, whereas the slide share is already active on your page. So pick the one that best suits your material and how you would like to convey your explanations. The key point to note is if we have up here explain the topic and visually represented the topic and then shown a video of the topic, we do not need to repeat ourselves with a slide share or a Prezi. So if you wish to convey some new aspect of the topic or provide the learner with some wider reading, then this may be a good additional tool to the resource. But we do not need to have all areas covered and repeated. Okay, so that's just a point of reference. So let's stick with the Prezi, delete the slide share, and we would just introduce this by saying, take a look at the presentation below to learn more. More on whatever it is I'm seeking to say. Now, let's put a gap in between so our page looks a little bit balanced, and let's reduce this gap here. So we've got our Prezi sitting in a space, and we can save as we go along, and let's have a little preview here. So our note, Prezi, and the last thing you see here is a link to a quiz for some interactivity. So why do we need that? Well, it's not essential, but it provides the learner with that final component. So as a student or a learner or even a teacher, I've come here and I've read something, I've seen something, I've watched and heard something, and I've perhaps interacted with something. So what I would like to do is perhaps test myself now, a little quiz, a little activity, test my knowledge. So what we would do, if we went back to our Google document here, organisms in the wild, and we've put SlideShare. If we delete SlideShare and put quiz, we are served up a range of quizzes. If I click on this one from the BBC, I can see organisms in their environment. What is meant by the word population? So I can take this test, let's click on them randomly, ensure that the answers are correct, ensure that they make sense and fit my material, check my score. Okay, I see it's a real-time interactive test that will score me straight away. This is a nice conclusion to a note or resource or lesson on animals in the wild. Or if you were doing something on cells or something on photosynthesis or something on quadratic equations, the principles are still the same. Try to add a quiz that you found on the internet at the bottom of your resource. So how do we do this? Well, here we have the web address. I'm going to click on the web address. I'm going to right click. I'm going to copy. Then I'm going to come back to my Notesmaster note. And here where it says add a link to a quiz here for some interactivity, I'll delete that text and I'll type something that says, now click here to test yourself. Or how about take this quiz, or how about test your knowledge? Something that is a call to action for the student. Now click here to test yourself. Now, the key point is I'm not going to do this. Having copied that link, I'm not going to just paste the link in there like that. That is untidy. What I'm going to do is instead highlight this text, delete it, and I may put organisms quiz. Organisms quiz. I'm going to highlight that text because I want that text to be the link. Scroll up, go advanced, and here's my link button. Click, and I'm going to paste in this web address from here. So I've right click and copied, come back to Notesmaster, paste, right click and paste. So I've pasted the web address in there, and the text organisms quiz will be the link. I'll set it to open in a new window so the user is taken away from the resource to access the quiz, and click OK. So we know it's a link because it's highlighted purple, and I click Save. So they're the main components of my resource coming together. Now, obviously, I've thrown in quite a few different things. I've thrown in an image for the brain and an exotic tiger here, and a Prezi presentation. So I've pulled in different areas, different images, different animations, different videos. But your note will be centered around a particular topic. I'm trying to show you how to compile, and more so think of Notesmaster's editor as a blank canvas. So you're assembling material from around the internet into a useful resource. We click Save, and we can preview it, or we can close it. And if we close it, let's just open it up again now. Organisms in the wild. We have some text, and we can see some elements here where we should insert a little gap underneath that, so it's nicely spaced. And we have our Prezi, and then we have our quiz where I click and it opens a new tab and I can take the quiz. So the student is being exposed to quite a lot. I could finish by asking the students to think of organisms in their area and write a list of the organisms you see or your favorite organisms, something that would allow them to enter a public comment and post. So you could start a discussion underneath your material. Educators' comments are just for educators, just for teachers. So students will not see educator comments. So how do I complete this? Well, I want to share it. At the moment, it's personal. In my workspace, you see it's a personal resource. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click Edit. I'm going to click on the preview. And I'm just going to add a little space here. I'm going to click Save. And then I'm going to click Share. So Share allows me to share this biology note with any group that I'm in that either has the biology syllabus in it or that I have permission to share material with that group. So if I join Joan's biology group, maybe Joan does not want me to share my material to her group syllabus because her students will be accessing her group syllabus. And she perhaps wants only her content there. So Joan would need to give me permission to share with her group. So once you have permission, or if you have created your own group, you're able to share material automatically with your own group. And you'd share material by clicking there. You can group share and clicking Save. Your material is automatically licensed by Creative Commons. If you wanted educators peer review, you would select peer review, and this note would be sent to every other biology teacher registered on Notesmaster who would have the chance to read, review, leave a comment under educators' comments, and then so if they're sufficiently pleased with your material, add their approval. So once 5 or more approvals are set for your resource, you have the option to publish it. And then you'd publish this note to the public area, so it become available to everyone in the region. So this is the automatic quality control process that teachers can oversee other teachers. So as you see here, I cannot publish it. I can only share it with the group that I've created. So to share it, check the box, click Save, and your note is done. Close the note, and in our workspace, you see it now says shared. So this material has been shared with our group. Once you update it, it's automatically updated for every user who has saved a copy of it. So if it is in this group or in my class, anytime I update it here in my workspace, it'll automatically be updated for my students in their class and for any members of the group. So that's the end of part 2 introduction on how to create a resource. You will see that there's tables, that there's alignment elements. So there are a number of other tutorials to look out for, but this should give you the basic. Take a look, express yourself as a teacher. Allow yourself to infuse some of your idiosyncratic ways and explanations and animations into your material. Be as creative as you can and make it as exciting as you can. If the student takes the time to come online, we want to reward them with something very different to a textbook or a black and white PDF. If at this point you are stuck or you have a challenge, click on chat now and see who's made themselves available and see if any of the support team are online, or send a contact us mail. Put your name, your country, your email, send a message and say, I'm stuck, please can you help me? And somebody will assist you a little bit further. Okay, thank you for watching.